Yeah.
So I was actually in the College of Technology, so my degree was mechanical engineering technology.
Oh.
And so we got a ton of people. We probably got 50 to 100 enrolled in MET from ME in the second semester, like every year.
I bet. That happens.
And a lot of our professors would call it the C bomb because all of us hated doing calculus. So they're like, hold on, I'm going to drop the C bomb.
I have a safety engineering degree, and I didn't realize there was math in that when I got in it, but by gosh, there was.
Yeah.
So
I took
most of you other engineers laugh at us guys that have safety engineering degrees.
I had to take a couple OSHA classes, and that was not very much fun.
Well, I can school you on that. That was, and what I mean about that, I mean, there's occupational safety and health bachelor degrees, but then there's the engineering degree, which we get a lot more into design and safety and design and so on. So you get the math there, but certainly a large portion of it is the OSHA and other risk management consensus regulations and stuff. And with that being said, it's pretty much like a history class, a memory class, a law class. You just got to remember all that stuff. But I don't ever try to put myself nose to nose with electrical or mechanical or civil engineers. So
yeah,
they will school me.
We had one of our technicians was moving a hydraulic cylinder and broke his finger. And that was a 3-year pain for having follow-up meetings and how are we going to make it so this will never happen again. And it's like he put his hand in the wrong place at the wrong time. Like,
yeah. Well,
sometimes stuff happens.
I walked up a set of newly installed steps around a bend this week. And somebody says, these things are going to shake apart and this, that, and the other. And I was actually able to go, well, no, they really won't, because I got to use the word resonance vibration, which is a safety engineering degree term. And it's kind of like why soldiers would break cadence when they walked across a bridge. Did you ever have to do that, Mark? Break cadence across a bridge?
We did. That was pretty standard. Yeah, because everybody, for that exact reason.
Yeah, so resonance vibration can shake a bridge apart. And if you look at some of the bridge collapses in history, a lot of them were due to resonance vibration, or kind of looking at it like a sound wave. You're just getting that, it just gets it and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger until it falls apart. So I was kind of tickled that I was able to say there's no resonance vibration here. This is, so it was no resonance vibration here. What it was is just a very tall span, and it's kind of like climbing up a tree and getting in the top and the wind blows and you're like, whoa, this thing moves back and forth 3 or 4 feet. You don't see that from the ground. So anyway, it was all well. And with that being said, I think our friends would much rather we talk about knives. I'm good talking about knives. Josh, you good talking about knives?
Sure am.
He's an engineer too. Let's talk about knives.
3, 2, 1, 0.
You're listening to the Knives Templars.
I got a piece off of the wagon that Sam Houston used to take JFK to the moon.
Pinto sauce. I like that. Pinto sauce.
Pinto sauce. You're tuned in to the Knives Templars podcast. Featuring Jason Fry.
Yeah, I've been doing what we do.
Long time listener, first time caller.
Eric T.R.E. Rivers.
Holy crap, I built something.
Mark Vasallo.
There would be a lot of places I would launch myself to.
Chip Carlisle. We've had a raccoon come through the screen door down in the family room.
I was a mean kid.
And Josh Ferrand. And now, broadcasting across planet Earth, it is the Knives Templars, coming to you live from PORKHouse Studios right here in Hartselle, Alabama, scattered across the country. We are on demand, and it's time to sit back and enjoy another show of the KnivesTemplars.com.
And Kyle Daly. Kyle, go ahead and make some weird noise or say something stupid that we can blend into the opening sequence in the future.
I don't know.
You have any throughout the whole thing? You have just any option, so you can just blurt one out in the middle.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll find something throughout the episode.
We will. I don't know. May work. We will be listening. If I only wish I had gotten what you said when you first came on here tonight.
Oh,
I'm huge.
Yeah. The video was just the two of us, and it was like my head was like
the whole screen
on the screen.
Oh, yep. I gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
he's just talking about his fame.
I know.
Lack thereof.
Yes, sir. Hey, guys, welcome to Knives Templars Podcast. This is episode 77. I'm Chip Carlisle, and we are a knife-making podcast that teaches the finer arts, the ramblings, the mumblings of anything any rabbit holes we go down around, and tries to keep you lassoed in from episode to episode. But we're glad you're here listening to us tonight. I am quite excited to say that we went on a major talent search, and I learned in management a long time ago, don't rush to fill a position because you need to wait for the right person to come in. And if you do that, you'll always be happy. And so we put out a post, and we just sat and watched the bobber. And not that we had any enticing bait, because I'm actually kind of surprised that the shark took the bait, because got to talking to Kyle Daly. He says, "Hey, I'd love to be on the podcast," and I was floored. I was like, "Am I smoking crack?" And I say that is because Kyle does have a large reputation to live up to. A lot of us put him on that pedestal. He's a humble guy. And he's now also leading his own podcast, also leading his business, and continuing to grow in the world. He's joined our team, and I would have asked you this a year and a half ago, Kyle, but I'm tickled to death you're here now. It was just the right time for you, and we're happy you're here. Welcome.
Yeah, thanks. Glad to be here. Hopefully, I can help answer some good questions for people and drop some good knowledge.
Well, I got an email last week, and I don't know if I shared it with you, but it was based. Oh, and before I do that, I have to say, Mark, I don't know if you noticed it, because there was a slight delay between you and I talking last week and we did a great podcast. You were so wonderful. You were really interesting, but occasionally it would be a little bit off, and it was because the sync of the podcast was off. Well, I got a email this week that said, "I'm going to quit listening. You guys," excuse me, it said, "Chip just talks over everybody." I was like, well, I'm
it was a wardrobe. It was a wardrobe malfunction.
Well, I don't know if it was just that, because he said, "I make knives. I turn people on to my knives. I tell them about your podcast. They listen, and they go, they don't want to listen. You just talk over everybody." So at first I was like, "Et tu, Brute?" I was like, "Oh my gosh, what?" And I went back and I listened to some things, and sometimes I just do start rattling. And I think that's what happens when you get a bunch of A-type personalities in the room, and you get one that's a little rude and just think, not that I think I'm more important. It's just I'm like a barking chihuahua. I just can't get it out fast enough. So I am going to work on that. So if anybody's back and listening,
hey, let me just talk over you for a second and then let you know that. but this is true, right? Like so also there's a cultural thing there too. And again, I'm not saying it's with your family, but from northern New Jersey, right, in a room full of Italian. American family eating dinner, nobody finishes a sentence. You're about 3/4 of the way to, and then the next person jumps in and they start talking. The next person jumps in. So a lot of times when now that I've been away for a long time, I notice it more. But when I first went in the Air Force, folks would bring that up to me all the time. I'm like, I don't know what they're talking about, but it was just a normal state of being with me and my family, and nobody would be offended. It was just a process. But I could see now from now more from the outside that if somebody is not used to that, it definitely could be frustrating a little bit.
Well, Mark, let me tell you real quick that. And of course, we're being funny, and it's not. We didn't set up this funny. I said you were just being goofballs. I will say that occasionally somebody will tell me, occasionally in a conversation outside of the podcast, hey, I hadn't finished talking yet, so I do it. So here's what it is. I have put my gum away. There's no cough drops in the room. And I'm going to sit back and listen. And I think the fact is that when we first got. What's that?
Or you can be like Dan, who does this like through the whole podcast with his pen.
So we need to talk about Dan, because Dan is the man, and I'm sure he's heard that more than enough. But Dan's a wonderful individual, and he's no holds barred. Dan is kind of the way I see him. But I will say that, as we start approaching the next 23 episodes and get up to 100, we've got such amazing talent in here now with, Jason Fry, who's in Mexico tonight, guys. So we're kind of going through the whole group tonight. Jason's in Mexico with his family, New Mexico, I should say. No, excuse me, New Mexico. Mark is with us.
No worm that time.
Yeah, no. Mark is with us. Eric is somewhere. He's chatted in, and he may come in later. I'm not sure quite where he is. He's got a wonderful job, and it kind of at last minute can pull him different areas. But we know that he's a hammering machine. We see him all over YouTube and communicating with us during the week. We've got the great Josh Ferran. I like to call him Josh the Truth Ferran, because he will tell Ferran, because he'll tell you the truth even if it hurts your feelings, and you didn't hurt my feelings, Josh. He's actually wonderful. Josh, if I was 25 years younger, 20 years younger, 25 years younger, I would try to be your best friend, because you're just that cool of a guy.
Yeah, you just don't want to be my best friend now.
No, I do, but I feel like, how old is your father?
Like in his 70s.
Okay.
Oh, that's
he's old. Well, he's not so old in his 70s that he and I couldn't have been best friends.
That's my stepdad. My stepdad's in his 70s. My dad's in his 60s. So.
Oh, he's an old guy. So I am old enough to be your father, Luke. No. And then we mentioned we got the great Kyle Daly, and Kyle, along with Josh and Jason and Eric and others on the show, brings such a wonderful technical aptitude. So we've got the great Kyle Daly back with us and continuing with us move forward. Emily, she's a little tied up tonight, but Emily's the sweetest soul in the world out there. Actually, with the tornadoes last week, we have at least one maker I know of that lost everything in tornadoes down in Mississippi, and she's already launched a campaign along with Tom Rapp with the North Alabama Forge Council, who has donated a knife to, every little bit counts. Every little bit you can pay forward and do counts. So she's already jumped in there. And Steve is having a block party, Steve. It's a block party with a bunch of kids down in Florida tonight, and he walked into that unexpectedly. But he's been making spears and knives like a wild man.
Oh, man. And his stuff is nice.
It is. I ran into his neighbor this week.
Neighbor.
Was the neighbor okay?
Neighbor was fine. It was Mr. Dirk Lutz. Mr. Dirk Lutz. I was over at Pops. I'll talk about that later. Man makes beautiful watches, but and knives. But so there's your lineup. We're here. We're a great podcast. We love talking knives, and I think that we've just stepped into new territory with adding an additional technical and entertaining and storytelling hero like Kyle, along with the rest of the team. So for you listeners out there that were begging for me to shut up and quit interrupting, I've got every reason in the world to now, because I want to sit back and listen and learn too. So How lucky am I? How lucky am I? It's episode 77. Last thing I will say before I shut up. Mark, you had the agenda this week. You know what we're going to talk about. So are you ready to tell them?
I should have taken some notes from what I wrote in the in the text string. But yeah, so well, actually, I think maybe it's good to. I have some new news, so I can bring that up, and we can see if anybody else has news, and then we can go into some subjects. But so had an exciting week this past week because we got together a bunch of great knife makers that are down here in the Mobile area, and we applied to become a knife making guild down here. I don't think the official name is approved just because there's already the Alabama custom knife makers guild, but we were thinking about just doing the South Alabama custom knife makers guild, but we got to run that through the wickets, and so it takes 6 months of monthly meetings, and the appointment of all the officials in there. Josh Holtz, amazing knife maker, is down. He's leading it up. He had it at his shop, and then although it doesn't look like the rustic cabin of up north there with Josh Howard. Yeah, and he's got, I think, almost the same size, but I mean, it's just, he's got everything. He's got a whole machining room with bunches of mills and lathes, and then he's got tons of anvils and forges. I mean, he's a farrier still. Was brought up by his dad, and so he's been pounding steel since he was old enough to hold a hammer. So again, he showed us all a bunch of his work that he hasn't sold, and so it was another, like Josh Ferran, integral mastersmith. I mean, he's not a mastersmith yet, but he could teach a class clearly like you can on the integrals. And so yeah, it was a great. So we applied. I think we're accepted. I think we just have to get the name down. I'm the treasurer, and so I got to figure out this whole iron in the pot thing. And
iron in the hat.
Yeah, and so
if you need help, just ask.
Yeah, I'll give you a call.
No problem.
And then it's exciting news because really I was surprised. We had 6 guys at the meeting, but there was a ton more folks that had said they were interested, and he's got a whole bunch of big names lined up to come down and teach some specialty classes, maybe like once a quarter or something like that, and so that'll be good. Yep.
So I'm already envisioning that in the future we'll all meet one place or the other or somewhere in the middle, and have kind of like they have the New England was it Metal Art Show, or what is it, Kyle, that they have up there that Rossi and all those guys go to?
Oh yeah.
The New England School of Metalwork.
Yeah, but
that's actually like a location.
That's a location, but what's the one that they go to up in? I think it's the state of New York or whatever, where everybody has like a Maker Camp. Camp.
That's right.
So maybe we can come up with something, and we'll have to call it. I don't know. We'll have to come up with something that certainly is insulting to Alabamians and just name so that people giggle and laugh about it. And the fact
or like the Bats and Blades Symposium, which is happening in Tannehill, approximately in the middle between the Alabama Custom Knife Makers Guild and the Southern Alabama Custom Knife Makers
would be. Oh, I interrupted. That's one. I did it. I caught myself. But if I catch myself, it never happened. But that was just brilliant. Batson's is that, but we ought to try and ratchet it up to really becoming, and I'm thinking out loud. So, I mean, there's people that are in charge of this. I'm not in charge. I'm just an attendee. So, but it would be so cool if you were able to pull the guilds into that who are part of the Alabama Forge Council, certainly on our side, to be able to go in and make that a much bigger thing. And again, I'm speaking out my rear end here. The people that are in charge of this may say, "Would he please shut up?" But yeah, that would be so cool because Batson's is needs to draw in more people. It's that cool of an environment. That's that cool of a thing. So,
And the Bats and Blades Symposium is happening April 3rd through the 6th at
yes.
Tannehill.
Where are you staying, Josh? I keep trying to drag you into my tent.
I'm going to be driving back and forth
Sure.
for farm stuff and things like that. But yeah, I'll be, it's about an hour and 20 minutes drive from here, I believe.
Yeah, that's not bad at all. And the reason I say that, if you know, I've been telling you guys and talked about it on an episode, I did get my tent today in the mail, and it was so cool. In this day's technology, you can track your FedEx truck driving down the road all the way to your house. So I ran out in the driveway like a 3-year-old girl, jumping up and down, all excited. And my tent has arrived, and I'm going to set it up tomorrow and season it. I didn't know you had to season tents. Did you know that? So
I'm surprised they can withstand like 450 degrees in the oven with some oil on it.
Yeah, really, I know. So seasoning a tent basically for duck canvas is essentially just setting it up, spraying it down, and getting all the fibers to tighten up. You know, because it's out of the factory, and it's already watertight, but it just kind of seats everything. So I'll set that up tomorrow, and make sure everything's there so that when we get to camp, that we don't have to, or I don't have to go out and buy some needle and thread if something was blown out. So, but I'm looking forward to that. Mark, we'll be set up, and you bring your cooktop, because we'll have to make a grocery store run and make everybody jealous. Even though it's going to be hard to, because Josh Howard is amazing with the way he can turn out some food. So, Josh, how are you and Miss Josh doing? Everybody doing well?
Yeah, we're doing all right. We're moving forward, and just kind of work has been busy. It's picked up, which is a good thing. We've got deals moving forward, all that good stuff with work, which is always good for personal moving forward, so to speak. But
cash flow.
Yeah, cash flow is very good, and whenever we actually close business, so we've had a pretty good first quarter, and I've actually been able to got the opportunity to go up to Spirit of the Blade in honor of Ron Richardson. He was my knife making mentor. He passed away at the end of last year, and he had 2 tables at this show, and one of the organizers reached out to 2 people that he spoke very highly of, and I was honored to be one of those. So that encouraged me to find whatever time I could to get into the shop, and he had always tried to convince me to do kind of like a batch of knives, and I was able to finish. Which, Kyle, you're gonna laugh at this, but I finished 5 knives that are the same style. Nothing compared to what Kyle can do, but it's the first time that I've actually like buckled down and tried to do like multiple of the same thing. Learned a lot from it, and definitely going to be doing that for like preparation for shows and things like that. But it was a good show. I was able to move 2 of those knives, one at the show and one immediately after, and I took my sanding sticks up there with me, and was able to sell a good amount of those to different makers, and just meet a bunch of people, and kind of get a little bit of common ground with people who had interacted with Ron during his time here, and it was nice to kind of pay homage to him. However, when I got done and back, I got right back in the shop, and I was real excited to kind of hit the ground running. And then the next day, I came down with the flu, and it seemed to be going around there.
Mm-hmm.
And I ran about 104-degree fever for a few days, and I was down hard. So even through last week, I was just struggling. No energy. I'm still kind of getting over some of the crud, but I have my energy back this week. I'm actually able to do stuff, and Yeah, it's been an interesting few weeks, and it's definitely been a whirlwind on the personal side coming into 2025. But we've been blessed, and I'm looking forward to the opportunities that are coming.
Yeah, that's awesome.
You're quite the man. And when I said if I was 25 years younger, I mean, I'll be your best friend right now. But honestly, I don't know if I can hang with you. I'm getting older. But I was so pleased this past week, though. Somebody said, "I can't believe you're 60 if you'd shave that beard off," and and my beard is graying, so it does add to it. But yeah, I still feel 12 years old. So all of my friends tend to be young bucks, and I guess that's just because I don't like hanging out with old guys, and I don't know if that makes me strange or weird or just loving life and loving hanging out with the exciting people in the world. So I'm not ready to give up and start watching TV and sitting in the recliner yet. Josh, you were in Miami this past week, or Orlando, I believe.
I was in Miami, Orlando, and Tampa, and
Wow.
it was land, get to the hotel, wake up, and do a demo first thing in the morning, and then drive a few hours to get to the next place, eat some dinner, send some emails, sleep, wake up, go do a demo, lather, rinse, repeat. So it was a hair on fire trip for me this time around.
So did you fly back home and then drive from wherever you landed, or did you have to drive all the way back home?
Yeah, I flew back, and Ashley came to pick me up at the airport.
Into Birmingham?
We stopped and got. No, I like to fly out of Huntsville.
Yeah, same here.
Birmingham. Yeah, Birmingham. The TSA is like really, really slow at Birmingham. And it's a little bit more of a popular airport. Whereas Huntsville, I mean, like you walk in and like you get to TSA, you put your stuff on the thing, you walk through, and you're through. I mean, like within minutes, I can get to my gate at Huntsville. But Birmingham, it's always a long slog.
Yeah, they're just short of saying, "Sir, can I help you take your luggage to the gate for you?" They're very, very nice people there.
Yeah.
And interestingly enough, this past few weeks, I've done a lot of traveling, and I'm down for a couple weeks now, which is nice. But I flew from Huntsville as you, and I love flying in and out of Huntsville. It's so easy. And when I fly to Dallas and I leave and then have to come back to the airport, it's just like, oh, I'm in a big city, TSA. It's kind of like the Soup Nazi episode of Seinfeld. You just kind of walk down the line and just keep a straight face. But I flew to New Bern, North Carolina this past week. And you're probably I don't know what time you get to the airport. I typically get there about 4 a.m. And because our days are very lined out, what we have to get done. So we flew to New Bern, North Carolina. That's one of those where there's like one or two gates at these airports. This one's got two gates, and TSA comes in around the airplane schedule, and the little place you can eat there only opens up around the airplane's landing schedule. I don't know how they stay in business, but so I landed there, and like you, it was wash, rinse, repeat. I was visiting feed mills and production plants and hatcheries this week in the poultry industry, and then I drove down to Gainesville yesterday to attend a deer mentor and leader of mine over the last 15 years, his retirement party. He was my direct boss, and now I have a wonderful new boss. So it was so nice to now I sent him a friend request on Facebook because we've always kind of had that rule. So I said, now we can officially be friends. But in the middle, and I drove back to Alabama. I woke up at 2:30, and I'm like, I can't sleep. So I just got dressed and got in the car and drove back to Alabama, and I was back here. And I didn't realize it. North Georgia to Alabama is only like 3 hours and 15 minutes at 2:30 in the morning because there's nobody out there.
That's right.
But I went to Pops yesterday, and I saw Dirk, and Alan was there, and McKenna Love. I know you guys. Everybody here know McKenna?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, good. McKenna was there, and guess who else is working there again? The great Luke Berry He and McKenna are now the dynamic duo again. And they loaded me up with $530 worth of resupplies. And I also bought a beautiful ash burl handle to go on one of the guild knives that I'm wanting to produce. So I had a wonderful day there. I bought, I don't know, maybe 30, 40 pounds of 8670. And that was kind of exciting too. So that whole traveling life, it doesn't get any easier, Josh, but it's nice.
Yeah.
It's nice to buy a steak on somebody else's dime, though.
Yeah.
That's true.
It is.
When I worked at Navistar, I had to go to Huntsville a bunch. There's an engine plant like literally at the end of the runway of the Huntsville airport. It's like grass, fence, road, Navistar building.
Yeah.
And coming out of Chicago, they always made us fly into Nashville and then rent a car and drive the 2.5 hours or whatever to Huntsville.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people here that are flying distance that are just watching their pennies. They will they'll drive to Nashville to fly out because Huntsville, because of all of the military and government and other things around it, they kind of set their own prices. So you can see a big difference between going to Birmingham or Huntsville. So
and there's not a lot of like direct flights either. Whereas Nashville's got more direct flights, Birmingham has more direct flights, Huntsville almost has like no direct flights.
Yeah, you can get
unless you're going to Atlanta.
You can go to Atlanta, Charlotte, Raleigh sometimes, and Dallas. And there may be others, but I know those are the direct flights. So
O'Hare was one of them.
Oh, was
I always tried to get them to use that one.
But, man.
Yeah.
Kyle, we saved I'm not going to call you the best for last. We saved the biggest for last. Only because you said you were the biggest. And you have a lot to live up to.
Yeah, I've been in the shop, been making a bunch of knife making tools, working on 30 straightening hammers today. Just finished getting those carbide balls brazed in. Now it's kind of on the downhill. I like to torch all the handles with the blacken them up so they look a little better. And I'm glad the weather's getting a little bit warmer so I can do that outside. Don't have to, that burnt hickory smell stays in the shop for a day or two. So
may I ask, does Pop sell your hammers?
No.
I didn't think so. Because I saw that there were hammers there yesterday that looked just like yours, except they weren't brazed. And I didn't walk over and see them. I said, I think those are Kyle's hammers, but I thought I remembered that you brazed your handles. So somebody else is making handles or hammers for them.
Yeah. Yeah. I think they have somebody else that makes some of their tools for them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then, was, working on a bunch of stuff I got linked up with this golf guy. He makes a bunch of these, or has me make a bunch of these. He calls them pitch tools, but it's for like a thing with a little bit of a fork. So when you hit it like onto the green and it makes a divot, you want to like lift it back out and smooth out the green. Do a bunch of those, and we're working on a couple small knives that'll be to go into your golf bag for like sharpening the pencil and opening a box of balls or whatever, trimming your cigar.
That's cool.
So hopefully we'll have some of that stuff coming out here soon.
Threatening the dude who you had a bet with, and he lost, and now he's choking on the bet, and it's like you pull out that convincing tool. It's a convincing tool.
Yeah. One of them's like 1.5 inches long, and the other one I think is like 2.5 or something.
That's perfect. It's not long enough to kill them. It's just enough to get their attention if you do a full poke.
Yeah.
And you can put out an eye just in case they really aren't listening. So it can do some damage. So no, that's wonderful. Yeah. You're one of the most innovative guys I know. It's amazing that what goes through your head and just constantly as wheels are turning and something else kind of cool comes out. Often imitated, never duplicated. There you go. You can use that. I don't know if somebody else may be using that, but if not, I'll give that one to you free. But yep, quality by choice, not chance. That's all mine. You know what I came up with when I had a fishing lure company, and I still own this. It was Carolina Chip's lure company. And in Carolina Chip, because I'm from Carolina, my Michigan buddies used to call me Carolina Chip because they laughed at my accent back then. And it was a little bit stronger back then, if it's not now. And they would just, and these were professional fishermen I was hanging. I was very fortunate to. So I had my fishing lure company, and it was called Tie One On and You'll Be Hooked.
Nice.
I still own that. I still own it. It's pretty cool. So quality by choice, not chance. I don't know. I'm trying to come up with something, and I just haven't found it yet. But yeah, the one I just gave you, I've already forgotten it. So if you want to use it, it's yours. I'll never even remember it. I have to go back and listen to the episode.
The one I have is I got it on the back of my business card. It says, "Life is too short to have a dull knife." So,
Yes.
All right.
That is very cool.
That's one I've used for quite a while.
That actually is very good. I came up in the 1980s. You could submit a line for Honda Automotive for the Super Bowl ads, and if you won, you got this, that, and the other. I came up with "Built for the Human Race," and you're going to say, I've heard that before. Built for the Human Race, and I think Honda did end up using that. I've got fraternity brothers that were sitting there when I came up with it, and we filled it out on a piece of paper, and I mailed it in. But I never heard anything back. But I was living in a fraternity house, and kind of in my wild days, maybe they tried to contact me. I don't know. But I can't prove it to you, and please don't sue me, Honda. Okay, you guys came up with it, but Built for the Human Race, I sat there and came up with that at a fraternity house on Graham Street in Charlotte, North Carolina. I also came up with at 7 years old, I've always been a marketing genius. At 7 years old, I came up with "We Care" at a foster parents meeting in Charlotte, North Carolina, where they were trying to come up with a name for their newsletter. We Care.
Okay. Sounds good.
I know. I'm just a genius. So what can I say? And we care about you at Knives Templars. So much so, I'm going to move on from this because it's no longer interesting. But I want to talk to you a little bit about TR Maker, which is interesting. And you can find them over at tr-maker.com. Since 1980, USAIL's been offering high quality and fast service from Istanbul, Turkey, just to basically every country in the world. Check out their line of knife making tools. It's going to make your job easier, more precise. I'll tell you, once you get some of their tools, you won't be able to do without them. Same thing can be said for you and Josh Ferran. Y'all make some nice tools as well. But you guys go out there and visit TR Maker and see what they're doing. It's quite special. Not all knife making tools either. Got some nice stuff. So VMAX, we'll come back to you. Did you figure out what your topics were going to be this week?
Yeah, well, I think I think this will probably go most of the episode. Is one thing we haven't talked about, maybe in a while. It might have been when we first couple episodes. Is how everybody keeps their shop clean, right? And that's from filtration to vacuum to dust collectors to any kind of funnels that you might use to collect metal chips off your grinder or whatever, and just see what everybody's doing, for that, because it's something that I bet you look in 90% of shops that are, while you're in process, you probably wait, and then at some point you do a big cleaning and clean a bunch up, and then it sits there for a while. When I start cleaning one thing, then all of a sudden I go through the whole shop and I got to make sure everything's done. So, but yeah, I guess we can just leave that open and see what I can bring up a couple things that I have, but I'd love to hear what everybody else is doing.
The thing that is for the filtration and dust collection and stuff like that,
mm-hmm.
it's not the fun stuff to spend money on.
That's right.
That's one of the hard parts. Like a new forge, new grinder, the latest and greatest grinder attachment. All that stuff is a lot more fun to buy than $500 or $600 dust collector or things like that. So, Chip, on the safety side, like you always try to engineer the safety problem away, then you rely on your PPE as kind of like your last defense. So,
Very good.
Lots of people.
I'm interrupting. That was so good. You get a chicken dinner next time I see you.
Yeah. So lots of people just rely so much on their dust collector, face mask, whatever they're wearing, respirator. Really need to rely more on trying to get that dust away, so your PPE doesn't have to work as hard. So I guess I can go first.
Yeah.
I have a 1 horsepower dust collector with a 1 micron paper filter that I converted. When I got it, it had a felt bag, and I've never liked those. I guess for some of the woodworking guys, that works better having bigger chips and stuff than some of our like fine dust from the sanding. But I use I've got a Dust Deputy Cyclone that all goes into before it goes into the paper filter to help it last a little bit longer. And then I've redone my dust collection down below quite a bit. And I just recently put in a shelf or a bench onto the wall that's kind of cantilevered, so it's all open underneath. And then I ran some 4-inch clear PVC down and have a couple of turn-offs. And then Line Lock is the company that I bought. So it's they use it a lot on like CNC mills and stuff for coolant flow, but they also make some 2.5-inch diameter stuff. It's really flexible. You can move it around for your dust collection. I've got some blast gates and stuff on there so I can turn them on and off. So it's got good suction at the different places.
So you have one of those go into like each of your dust producing tools.
Yeah, so I have it go to I just use it on my 2x72s for handle material. And then for metal, I have a water bucket underneath, try to keep the sparks from going into all of the micarta G10 wood dust, so that doesn't explode or catch on fire. And then my disc grinder, I don't really have anything, but I'm not removing a ton of material off on that. I use the disc grinder a ton for flattening my bevels and refining the scratch patterns on my kitchen knives. And so that's the active dust collection. And then the more passive dust collection, I have a Jet. I think it's their 1000B model, but it's basically like a paper furnace filter with another bag-ish filter and then a fan. Wen makes one that's probably just as good, but that I turn that on and it just passively circles all the air in there, so that really helps with some of the fine dust that isn't collected from the tube that I try to get positioned underneath whatever I'm using the most. It really helps to circulate that around and pick up some of the fine dust, and then use my full face respirator after that.
Nice. Yeah, I want to invest in one of the full face ones with the little air blower on the back, where it's positive pressure, it keeps everything out, especially with the whole like facial air thing and all of that. I am not the person to talk to about keeping your shop clean. I sent a video to the group, and I do wear my respirator, but like you said, Kyle, it's not the best way to lean on just the respirator alone. But one of the things that is on my bucket list is improving my situation in my shop with all the dust collection and all of that good stuff. And, you got to be careful, like you said, about, the flammable stuff versus the stuff that's already hot and all of that. And being able to break that apart and have different systems for the different things that you're doing. But one thing that I do utilize, and if you're a bad shopkeeper such as myself, is I've got a Milwaukee blower, and I call it Lil Wheezy. And I will, when I get done with a project or a group of projects or whatever, I'll start at the back of my shop. I'll put my respirator on and I will blow my entire shop out, and just everything goes out the door, and blow off all of the equipment, blow off all the tables, all of that good stuff. Go chase down all of the small things I forgot to put away before I started blowing my desk off. And
That's right.
And then chase
that
all the
is my,
papers too.
Yeah, all the paper that goes everywhere, like that stash of nicely cut sanding strips that you had sitting on the edge of the table. Yeah, you try to go find the unmarked sanding and try to get all your grits back to where they're supposed to be.
Scotch Brite pads.
Yeah. Do I?
I was going to say Scotch Brite pads because, I've got a very similar process I'll talk about. I tend to always blow my Scotch Brites out the door.
Yeah. And so that's my kind of like a little shop tip for all of my other shop raccoons out there that need to clean up their shop in a hurry. Get you one of those Lil Wheezies and just blow your whole shop out.
Yeah, I saw that they have a M12 version of that too, so it's a little less, not quite as powerful, so you can direct it a little bit more than like I use a M18 one every like once a month or so to get all the little corners and stuff.
Yeah, the one I have is M18, but it's a smaller version. Instead of like a full on leaf blower, it's a much smaller one. So
Yeah, that one's almost
it's
made
not
for
quite.
shops, right? I mean, it's really small. Like I've seen those. They look really cool.
Yeah, the little squirrel cage on it is about
Mhm.
that big, and it's got enough power to blow everything out that you need to, but then it's got like you can adjust it up and down. And the reason I call it Lil Wheezy is because when I first started using it, I had it on the lowest setting and I didn't realize it. And so I'm sitting there just like, man, this thing's struggling, but it's working. And then I found the full throttle and I was like, oh man, this thing works really good.
Well, I don't know if I can top that, but and not that I'm trying to. I have what is the Lowe's brand?
Cobalt.
Cobalt.
Yeah.
I bought
right.
their biggest Cobalt blower, and we use those in the yard. So I've got a bank of batteries that we use for things that we run off of electricity. So I used to use my shop vac, put water down in it, and had a filter, and I would sit and just vacuum the shop down, and it did an okay job. But you got to be able to get to everything. But it takes much longer, and I'm lazy. And I also clean my shop as I go. So whenever I'm done with a session, whether I've been sitting there for 10 minutes or 10 hours, I'm gonna clean up. But eventually, I grind over water, so everything's captured there. When I'm doing handles, I've usually got a shop vac going, pulling any dust off of it, or I'm shooting it down into my water. And I've also have a large barn fan that's probably 30 or 36 inches. I can't smoke a pipe when and I can't wear a hat, because when I turn on that fan, it literally just, you can't have paper or anything. That fan blows everything out. So a lot of times also, I will just turn on that fan, especially if doing handles, materials and stuff, and just blow all the dust into my neighbor's windows, which is 200 feet away, but they get it, I'm sure. But my biggest thing is to get the blower and put it on high and just go to it, and it cleans everything out beautifully. And that really, because that gets in the nooks and crannies and the things you can't see. Because I used to get really build-ups. It wasn't what do they call that? The little puff balls in the corners under the bed and this, that, and the other.
Dust bunnies.
Dust.
Yeah, dust bunnies. I would get dust mastodons under things. So I don't get those anymore. And but then I always go back when I'm done working. I keep a gallon of WD-40, and there's times when I'll use a real lubricant, not a water displacement, but WD-40 does a nice job of preventing rust and cleaning surfaces. So I put it in a spray bottle, and I'll set and spray contact surfaces with some WD-40 and wipe it back down really good so it doesn't start collecting dust and sticking to it. And just kind of give everything a nice clean. So whether it's a swag table, my grinder table, other surfaces that you're not worried about that kind of oily feeling on you, you prefer it, I'll do that. And while I'm at it, I'll spray my steel too, just to put another coating on it. And then I keep giant bottles of Windex, and I go in and spray down my table and clean up all the dust there, because essentially what I'm doing, since everything I'm doing is in a small shop, I'm going to transition into leather work at some point in time. And if you don't have a clean environment, all that ends up, mucking up your leather. And then you either get it really dark to try and hide some of those things that you didn't where you didn't clean well. We all get there, and so that prevents some of that. I do want to speak about leather. Can I go down a little? Go ahead, Kyle.
WD-40, the brand, used to make a rust preventative one that wasn't just the water displacement.
Mm-hmm.
I bought a can like 10 years ago, something like that. Yeah. But I used it on the poles for my drill presses and stuff. Right. And it's like, I put it on the first time and I've never put it on again. It doesn't
wow, that's awesome.
Evaporate off, and hasn't gotten like super like dust covered. So
have to look and see if there's still the product out there. I'll also occasionally go in with like I'll just use regular pharmaceutical grade mineral oil, just because I keep it around for if I'm doing like blade waxes and stuff like that, and want to use that type of material. I keep around a gallon of it, and occasionally I'll go around and just kind of wipe things down with mineral oil and hit my anvil and all the other metal surfaces, and just really just kind of polish everything up. Because here's the way I looked at it: is I'm not a rich man, and the equipment I've got is what I've got. I could, I sold enough knives this past week to go out and buy another grinder if I'd wanted to do that. That's not the point. It's just I'm really a stickler on taking really good care of my equipment. I sold a 2004 bass boat in minutes of listing it in 2012, because I washed the boat and put it away, and if anything broke, I immediately fixed it. Bilge pump motors and that kind of stuff that typically you get issues with. So I've just always been that way about my shop. So kind of cleanliness as we go. But Josh, I don't point the finger at you anyway, because there's a part of me that's like that as well. Sometimes I will just let things go, and that's when I have to go back at it and really clean. But most of the time, I'm pretty good.
Yeah, I think for me, it's like I get so like into the projects that I'm on, and I'm just rolling from one step to the next step to the next step to the next step, and then when I get done, I just look at everything. I'm just like, what happened?
And that's when I just finished this set of knives that y'all saw me making, and it was so fun to get paid for those. I had those experiences during this, because I had so many things going, trying to do all the steps at once, each one along the way, and just keeping it going, that I was a little dirtier than I had ever been. The caveat the branch I wanted to shoot down real quick, I did something this week, and y'all can tell me if it's right or wrong. And I've already sold the knives, but I had actually looked this up online and seen other people doing it. So I cut out my leather. Oh, and this has nothing to do with it. I started using a bandsaw to cut out my leather patterns since I don't use a stamp rather than just cutting them with a knife. And man, you talk about simple and easy and boom, just a real thin bandsaw blade. But when I finished my sheaths and they were clean enough. And some of them had a little smudge here or there from, like I said, you don't get everything perfectly clean, or you hit something with a hammer that maybe had something on it. But then I rubbed them all down generously with neat's foot oil, which I typically put on them anyway. And I let that dry for 6 or 7 hours. And then I went back with it and hit it with the tan coat. Is that what I got?
Yep.
Tan coat. Yep. I hit them with the tan coat, and it didn't get the real glossy finish. I've got the other product they sell that makes the real glossy finish, the one that seals the leather. And I will tell you what, unless I'm trying to do a specific, I need to make a black sheath or a brown sheath or a red sheath, because for some reason I've got a quarter red dye that I did one knife one time with, and I'll probably have it 20 years from now. But I love that look. I think it's cool, and then there's times for other styles, but man, I was so excited to come across that process of just soaking it in neat's foot and letting it go. So it looked really nice, especially after putting the tan coat on there. Thank you for that recommendation, Mark.
Yeah, no, I love that's my finish that I use on most stuff now. And what I found is that, because I was looking for like a lighter brown finish, and I found that even the light brown dyes, I know this is getting way off topic, the light brown dyes get really dark, especially if you have to hit it with a couple coats and get, to get everything even. And we won't go into leather dyeing stuff right now, but yeah, I think that's a great finish, that neat's foot. And then, with the tan coat finish, plus it's a little porous. Yeah.
So you've done that with the neat's foot oil as well?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm glad that I discovered what other people were doing. It was really nice. And also the leather in there keeps that leather supple, but also I think it's probably going to protect the knife to a certain degree, just because of the oil content in the leather.
Yeah, I coat the insides before I sew it up too, and let it all absorb from the inside. Actually, I also this is getting way off topic. Josh recommended, like I was talking about lining sheaths at one time, and then Josh said that, hey, you should use a slicker on the inside of your sheaths, and then instead of lining it, it just kind of like smooths everything out. And so now that's what I do. I bought a glass slicker, and on the inside,
nice.
So I neat's foil everything, and then once that's done, I slick it all down, and it's gets real smooth, but saves.
What is a glass slicker?
It's like a square. It's like a maybe 4x6 piece of glass that's maybe a 1/4 inch thick, and all the edges are nice and soft beveled. And then you could just grab this instead of using your little wood slicker for the edges. This one is flat, on the sides, and then you just kind of run it down larger pieces of leather, and this way
Is this a leather working tool?
It is. I mean, they say you could probably make one, but yeah, I think I got it on Tandy or one of the leather sites.
I'll have to look it up. I've been using a piece of really smooth elk antler because it's wider, and I use the elk antler. So I don't know if I get it. Yeah, I don't know if it would give me a different finish or anything, because if it's a wider piece of glass, you're going to get more uniform slicking back and forth.
It's going to be more consistent.
Yeah, I don't really get any ripples, but it's on the inside anyway. But I'm going to look into that. That's really cool. Thank you for that. So
taking care of your leather. I learned about this Skidmore's leather cream. It's natural oils and beeswax. It's for like taking care of your sheath once it's kind of made. Soulbound Leather, Sarah, I forget what her last name is. But she turned me onto that. Smells really good, and
nice.
The cream seems to keep the leather nice and supple and stuff, and not cracking.
Yeah.
Well, before Mark drags us back into topic, and thank you for that, Mark. Do you do a lot of leather work, Kyle? Because I don't really see you promote a lot of it.
not anymore.
Do you have somebody do your leather for you, or are you doing a lot of nylon cases, or what are you doing for your knives?
No, I do a lot of kitchen knives, so most of my stuff is in zipper cases.
Yeah.
But one of the guys that I actually met him and talked to him in Atlanta a few times before I knew that he lives like 20 minutes away from me. But his name is Spin. He owns JRE Industries. They make leather sheaths and stuff, and he makes my back pocket sheath, and he makes a ton of sheaths for companies like LT Wright and stuff like that. And he does all my leather sheaths and stuff now. Great guy. And has models to fit almost everything. I took my pocket bushcrafter, mini bushcrafter, and bushcrafter over there, and he had sheaths that fit it like it was made for that particular one.
Yeah, you know those guys with the they've got their press patterns, and they just press them out and they put them on their sewing machines. They just like guys that are making knives, they really take leather making to a whole different level. It's when you have a really nice sewn sheath. I like a handmade sheath, and I don't mind seeing a couple stitches off because of the drill holes being slightly off for this, and it just says, "Hey, this was handmade." But sometimes when you get something that's just that perfect, it's kind of like somebody making the perfect knife. It's really a pleasure to see it.
Well, when I was making my pocket sheaths, I don't enjoy doing the leather, and when I was hand stitching, so like my back pocket sheaths, like there's a lot of like this is all one big stitch that goes all the way around there, and that would take a really long time to do. But with his machine, he can just zip it out. But I was charging like over $100 for my back pocket sheath, and I think Spin charges me like 40 or something for him. So he bought and had some dies made to click out the things, and yeah, he hooks me up with that now. But
good guy, good for you.
Yeah, and that's a thing about leather is like I it's a love-hate relationship for me. I like how it turns out. I don't necessarily enjoy the process. I used to enjoy it a little bit more, and then I did a whole bunch of it, and it's not my favorite thing in the world. And especially with the whole like every knife needs to have a sheath mentality out there. You just really don't get the time like investment back out of the sheath itself in order to like price yourself competitively unless you do something that is purposefully like kind of over the top, and like the sheath itself adds value to the knife because you've done all of this like intricate work on the sheath. And then at that point like that's also going to pair with an expensive like high end intricate knife, whereas if you've got kind of like more of a $300 knife, you're not going to spend a whole lot of time necessarily making the sheath something amazing when the knife is more kind of not low end, but like it's lower on the price range, unless of course that's like what the customer wants. But if you're just doing a general sheath to include with your knives, getting that time investment cost back out of the sheath on like on a smaller knife that people would expect to have a sheath with. It's just that you don't really get a whole lot of return on investment when it comes to the hand stitching and cutting out and like hand dyeing the leather and this, that, and the other thing. I still do it, but that's kind of like my take on that.
I don't enjoy doing the leather, so I'm more than happy. Spin makes some great stuff, and most of his sheaths I think are between $35 and $50, and they're great.
Let me add this in here also, since you're close to me, Josh. So Mark Steenberg, who owns the Warrior Forge blacksmith at Low Mill Arts up in Huntsville. Are you familiar with Low Mill Arts.
Yeah, I know him.
Yeah, and Mark, Low Mill Arts is a great place to visit, by the way. All kinds of artists up there. Well, in there is a leather crafting shop, and guy is there, has been there for quite some time. And he makes Mark sheaths for his knives. And I've been in and seen him. He actually listens to the show. But I'm not sure if he wants to pick up any additional business and stuff. So if he does, we'll talk about him on a future show or even have him on a show. But I know he's making all of the sheaths for Mark's knives. And he has a guy over, I believe it's in Georgia, that makes his dies, that presses them out. And then he's got a series of sewing machines. So if you want to go over there as anybody that's a listener, Low Mill Arts is in North Huntsville, Alabama. And he's got classes you can take to learn how to do leather work, but he's got his own, and I love he's got beautiful wallets. I'd love to have one if I wasn't so hard on wallets. But if you want somebody to maybe do some sheath work in the future and just pass that, because if you look at the cost of the leather, the cost of the time, and this, that, and the other, and if you've got $40 into a sheath and you pass it on as the cost of the knife, it's just a part of the components. He may be interested. So either get in touch with Mark Steenberg if you're interested, or I can get you in touch with a guy. But I did actually talk to him about making some knife sheaths for me on some retail models that I'm going to be coming out with. But all the other ones, since they're kind of, one-offs, I like to make the sheath, and I actually want to make the sheaths kind of as decorative as the knife, give the sheath something to make the sheaths draw you into wanting to see what the knife looks like as well. So there you go on that. If you're interested, let me know.
Will do.
Mark, you're going to want to pull us in, but since we are talking about leather, I think I gone to Waco, Texas, but when we last had a recording.
Oh yeah, I think you talked about the Ranger Museum.
I did, yes.
Yeah.
So I've ordered some leather because I'm going to make a gun belt with a integrated sheath to hold that buoy, and I'm also going to be making the gun holster that fits into that belt. And I'm going to order a 1852 or 18 something Navy revolver. So I was going to say 150-year-old gun. That's like a 170-year-old gun now, a replica, of course. So I'm ordering all that and watching some gun belt making videos and stuff now. So I actually may go up and talk to this particular guy, Josh, about stitching and everything, because I really want to make sure it looks good. So I don't know if it'll be ready. I could see me walking around Blade Show with my gun belt with my buoy in it and an orange revolver, so it doesn't look like I'm carrying a gun. But that's what I talk about. Build something to reflect the knife that's in it. Really lead up to something. So, Mark, I'm going to stop right there because I'm going to do a couple little ads so you can get us back on track. But hey, guys, I mentioned I was at Pop's Knife Supplies yesterday and got to talk with Alan Searles and Dirk Lutz. Joey Berry, I think, was over fishing for some catfish in Alabama yesterday, but his son, Luke Berry, who was a great associate there in the store, and along with McKenna Love, they've been in business for 40 years. It was started by James Poplin, and they purchased it a few years ago. And they serve the knife-making community with industry-leading prices and actual shipping costs. So you'll always see a refund. I was fortunate enough I went and picked up at things, so I didn't have the shipping cost yesterday, but it's never that expensive. Certainly their focus is customer service and great products and prices. You guys should check them out today at popsknifesupplies.com. And it was very nice. I just have to add this, that Dirk had walked out, and I was looking at some of the watches he's made. There's a watch that he's made. I want to get one. It's called the Aviator. But they always have the nicest things to say, and everybody that's in there is a friend. But I was kind of downplaying some of my work because I'm always in reverence to other makers. I never put myself above a lot of these, most of the people that are out there. And he said, Chip, no, you're a really good knife maker. You make beautiful knives. And after the discussion, I said, McKenna, does he tell that to everybody, or do you think he really meant it? Because it meant something to me. And she goes, no, if he says it, he meant it. And I was like, oh my gosh, I just got the Dirk Luke seal of approval. So I've still got a lot to learn and a long way to go to make a decent knife. But that really made me feel good. So if you want a feel good experience, whether it's good prices, good products or just good relationships, you guys visit them at popsknifesupplies.com. Also, I know that we are also a big supporter of the Knife Perspective podcast. And they also have something going on with our buddies at Phoenix Abrasives, and you can find them at phoenixabrasives.com. They offer great products, prices, selection, quality, quick delivery, and they have a complete inventory of belts, discs, rolls, wheels, and anything else that you need to get the job done right. Here's where we are, our sister podcast here, my good friend Kyle. You can enter Templars 10 at checkout, or you can enter, Kyle?
KP10.
KP10, that's even easier, at checkout for 10% off of your order. And take advantage of that, because it's always nice to get the savings in there. And Sean and the guys over there are just wonderful, wonderful people and will treat you right. So KP10 or Templars 10 at checkout, 10% off your next order.
Yeah,
well,
they also carry some Cage Daily knives, flat sanding sticks, some of the different colors, and G10 and stuff like that.
Oh, nice.
Very good. I love your sanding sticks, and we certainly. Where can people find your sanding sticks? By gosh, we'll sit and start promoting you.
Yeah, CageDailyKnives.com. Got all sorts of knife making tools. One of the ones that's really been selling well, that's on sale right now. It's normally $40, on sale for $25. My pin cutting sled for cutting pins of different sizes. There's different inserts that you can mark them out to different lengths and make cutting on your bandsaw so much easier and safer.
That's a great idea.
Yes. I was going to say, so much so, can you send me one of those pin cutting sleds for free, and I'll give you a review on my Facebook, on my YouTube channel. I've got 107 subscribers now.
Sure.
No, you don't have to do that. I'll buy one. But I was going to say, your flat sanding sticks, I have 3 of them. And unfortunately, you're going to have to sign another one, because I've about worn your name off of the back of one you signed for me, just because I do hold you in high regard. I wanted your signature. Okay. And I've had people, the reason I caveated into that, I've had people provide me some sanding tools, overly engineered and really under engineered, and I've used the leather back piece of flat micarta scale material before, cut them down and make them. But I tell you what, the length of yours, the rubber backing to be able to graduate and do what you need, man, they make it so much easier and so nice. Those are just a wonderfully designed product. You did a good job there.
Thank you. Yeah, and I'm also running a sale right now till the end of the month. It may push it out a little bit more for some people with tax day, but discount code birthday gets you 10% off pretty much everything on my website.
Good deal.
So, hey, let's before we go into the, like we're talking about Kyle's stuff. Hey, can you talk a little bit about your push stick?
My Smooth Pass.
Yeah,
the one with the bearing. Yeah,
I like that. It was funny because I was trying to buy a push stick, a while ago, like 6 months ago. And then I was like, maybe I could, make something. So I actually bought some like bearings, that stuff. And they just sat there. I was like, eventually I'll figure something out. And then I was like, that's awesome.
Yeah. I came up with that idea about 6 months or so, or it was over the summer last year. And then that kicked off into, I think I had 17 different iterations of it before I settled on the size and stuff that I have. But yeah, I've always used a work rest with push stick, and kind of like go higher or lower on the blade to push the grind higher or lower, and then drag the blade to the side. And I've always used micarta or G10 or wood or whatever, and like especially on those like 36 grinds, like it's pretty rough for the stick to run across it. And then one day I just had an idea for doing a bearing, and then immediately went to Google and tried to see if anybody else was already doing it, because like a lot of good ideas, sometimes people already have them, but I didn't really find anything that was handheld. I saw a couple people had like this like lever mechanism that you could use to really get some pressure on it. But but yeah, then I just grabbed 2 pieces of scrap metal and got a bearing and tried it, and it worked really well. So as you pull, it doesn't have any friction, and the bearing doesn't grab grit. Like, so with the G10 and Micarta and wood and stuff, some of the grit from the belt would embed into the stick. So as you would drag it, it would make scratches and stuff along there too. So yeah, I really like it. It's been a really big help. I wish I would have thought of it many years ago.
Yeah, no, they're great. I saw those and I was like, yeah, that's really great idea.
Thank you.
Can I put in a invention request?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. I know a waterfall planting probably does pretty good here as well, but I don't have one. I need a hand tool, a push tool that you can use to get up into the plunge lines real nice and make them nice and smooth. I use an X-Acto blade and just kind of roll it in there and roll it in there. But I need a tool that kind of, rocks back and forth, that you have some control on, that'll just keep it going, because an X-Acto blade just seems to take forever.
I might have something that'll work for you.
Ah.
Yeah.
Yeah, have you seen? Yeah, like you're talking about your not your radius ones, but your sticks with the angle on them.
I've got a combo one that's comes down to not quite a knife edge, because it is plastic, so like you need a little bit of support there. But it's pretty sharp, and you're able to wrap the paper around that and just use that to kind of like pull that transition in there. And it does a really good job. And it's got a rounded backside too that helps you get into like some of the contouring and things like that you would do. I use it a lot with like my integral transition.
Mm-hmm.
I'll put a picture in the chat for you.
Cool. And maybe bring one down to Batson's and I can buy it from you. That'd be so nice. I'll
bring a whole bunch to Batson's.
Oh, cool.
So if people are interested in them, you can get them there.
Have you ever used mold polishing stones?
I do use, I do use those, and I actually have found that I've used a piece of deer antler, or a wide piece that I angled off and used it, and the curve just fits nicely up into my hand, so I can kind of go, rock it back and forth. I just wondered if there's something else out there nice, and I've seen, I actually saw, talking about inventions, I saw that Tyrell had a sanding table that kind of rocks back and forth. I thought, was that yours, or is that something that he's created as well?
No, yeah, he has the Sand Shark. It's got a motor with some linkage to move the table back and forth. Him and I collaborated with my sanding buddy. So he had me design some brackets to help hold the sanding buddy, so that you can just have to apply the downward pressure. You don't have to be as consistent to keep it straight. So it's worked out really good. A lot of people have had some really good feedback on it.
I want Kyle Daly to always be my buddy. He's got so many buddies in his life. The sanding buddy. I love that. Yep. I love it. Don't ever deviate away from that, because that is that's just kind of a nice coin that speaks to you.
Yeah, with the mold polishing stones, I got the idea from Hints Knives and Parable Knives. Mm-hmm. They were doing some stuff with mold polishing stones, and they started putting them in a reciprocating saw, and that was like such a great idea. And then there wasn't anything that was like really made to do it. You kind of used different contraptions and stuff, and sometimes you had to modify the end of your reciprocating saw to get it to work, and 3D printed and have some pieces cut to fit in there. And man, doing big bevels on chef knives and stuff, pounding through those grits, and then just doing the last little bit with the finishing pulls with the sandpaper. This made a world difference for me. I call it the SL stone holder for suck less.
suck less, buddy. So,
yeah.
But yeah, that's wonderful. I think I'm going to be purchasing an even heat end of May, and I want to do some stainless steel. So I'll be picking your brain on that kind of stuff, or anybody else here that does stainless, because I don't necessarily want to get into making a lot of stainless. I just want to be able to do it, but I really want to dial in my carbon steel blades as far as heat treat.
Episode 108 from the knife perspective, we actually had Spencer from Even Heat on, and we talked a ton about the heat treat ovens and stuff. It was a really good episode. Super interesting how that whole
give me that again.
Created.
Which episode? I can write
108.
Oh, okay, I'll listen to that. Hey, is there a KP10 or a KP15 or 20 for Even Heat?
No, unfortunately not. They don't sell direct. They only sell through distributors.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I talked to when I talked to the guys down at Pops yesterday. Of course, they are a distributor for, or they sell them. I don't know if they they distribute them, or would that be considered a distributor?
I bought mine through them.
Oh, okay. And did they come from the factory, or
it did. It shipped directly from, I bought it through them, and then it shipped directly from Even Heat, because when I called Even Heat, and afterwards I said, hey, I want to add one of those fixtures on my purchase. Can you just stick it in the oven and save? And they're like, yeah, I'll just pay for it and then just stick it in the oven. We won't charge any shipping. And so that worked out. But yeah, that's how mine came.
Yeah.
I'm going to order mine.
One of the great things about the new Even Heats is they have a panel on the side that says, this is the part number for the coils, this is the part number for the solenoid, all that stuff. So Mark, yours may have it. He said they started doing it like the last couple of years.
Yeah, I have to look at my, I haven't noticed that, so I don't know if I have mine. I have to check.
Well, with I've actually ordering mine with the Jeff Fader oyster roaster, so and the blade attachment. That was so cool. Let me ask you this now: with the heat treat ovens, of course, with thermal cycling and heat, you're always going to get parts that wear and break, or this, that, and the other. You've had one for some time. Have you had to do any work on yours?
I've had one since 2015. 10 years, and I haven't had to do anything on mine.
Good. I know that Feder talked one time about he had a thermocouple or something, and it's basically, it's kind of like, I don't know if this is what it was. It's kind of like the little thermocouple in your clothes dryer. If it gets too hot, it goes, and you have just to replace that little plastic fuse part. I think he had to do something like that, but I've heard only good remarks about everything they offer. Mark, are you going to bring us on in? If you're going to be the future host of this podcast, you got to keep chipping. You got to keep chipping line.
All right, I'll bring it back full circle, and I'm going to quote. I don't know if it's the exact quote, but I'll paraphrase what the great Kyle Daly said as one of the opening lines here, which was, cleaning your shop is not sexy. Everybody likes to buy and talk about other things. And so, and I think it brings it around, right? Like, I mean, everybody loves talking about, knives and stuff they use and cool tools that they make, right? But but again, cleaning your shop, dust filtration, PPE, all those things, those aren't the sexy topics, but it's something that at one time or another, we'll all go through and buy and slowly add to the shop. So I'll run through mine real quick. And again, nothing. Actually, it's probably the Frankenstein system. Again, like everybody, I have a 5-gallon wet bucket for my grinder. I actually, since I have the Ameribraid grinder mounted on the that tool attachment roll around, I actually made a 2x2 piece of wood with a board on top of it that'll let me put a bucket on that board, and so the bucket sits right below it, right? So that's kind of a nice nice to be able to do with that attachment arm. But yeah, I have the water bucket under there. And so then I have a bunch of stuff again, and think that I'm working out of a 12 by 10 shed. And so it's not like full size shops or garages or anything like Josh has or anything like that. But so I have a typical shop vac that I bought a HEPA filter for, and attached to that shop vac, I have that attached to one of those 5-gallon bucket topper Cyclone, whatever the name of it is, right? The dust collectors. So that goes into that 5-gallon bucket. And then attached to the Cyclone, I bought a central vacuum hose. It's like a 15-foot central vacuum hose. So with that, I can reach, anywhere in my shop. And so for just cleaning up and vacuuming up spot stuff, I use that a lot. But so what I did to prevent, even more. So I also have one of those things, Kyle. I don't know if it's the same one, but it's kind of one of those 2-inch segmented, hoses with an adapter on the end that you can kind of position and it stays in that spot. I forget who makes them, but they're probably like 3 feet long. And so I attach that to a small bucket. And what I'll do is, so like for my surface grinding attachment, that goes horizontal, right? And so if I don't have something catching that, that's basically spraying stuff everywhere in the shop, right? And so I have that little flexi hose in a bucket, and then I have this little sealed spot where I'll stick the end of my central vacuum hose. And so as I start spraying stuff out, it'll actually draw it in pretty good. And I put water, if I'm using it for metal, I put some water in the bottom of that little bucket and I'll clean it out. If I'm using it for wood, sometimes I'll put, I just kind of won't put anything in there. And then the dust will just go into the Cyclone after that. So yeah, multi-part, piece for that. I also use what everybody's was talking about. I have a Black & Decker little battery blower, and so periodically, I will go through and blow the shop out. And again, it's amazing. You think the shop's clean, you use that, and all of a sudden, all kinds of stuff comes up that that you're not thinking about. But I think paired with, I have the Wen version, Kyle, of that air filtration. It just kind of hangs from the rafter in the shed. It's nice. I can set it for, low, medium, high speed, or set it for 1, 2, or 3 hours, or just leave it on. And so what I'll do is, after I clean the shop, and if I'm going to, I blow everything out, then I just turn that on for like 2 hours and close the door. And it is truly amazing. I come in there and you can tell the difference when you just smell the environment. I mean, it does a great job. It smells perfectly clean. And I put a little, I buy like a nice little house furnace filter, and I put it over the outside just so I don't have to replace that bigger bag filter that's inside. So it's a little cheaper that way.
You can blow those out with an air compressor too.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I haven't. So unfortunately, my air compressor is in my garage with my heat treat oven, and that is in my, so not that I don't mind walking it over, but yeah. So I actually do most of my stuff with my leaf blower. I'll bring that in and then just kind of blow my filters out and stuff with that.
Yep, that probably works too.
Yeah. And then I'll tell you, I have like 3 of these in my shop. Is I have a bunch of paintbrushes. And so, I'll tell you how handy just sweeping up your drill press or around your vise after you're filing or whatever it is. At first I just had one. I'm like, I love this thing. So every time Harbor Freight has pick up a free paintbrush, if you come into the store, I pick up another one, and I got another little mini whisk broom that I just whisk stuff as I go.
Good idea.
Yeah, to keep it in there. So I have a little nail hanging on each of my little benches, and I have a paintbrush there. And so that's your temporalist tip. Buy paintbrushes.
There's that Eminem song where he's like, "We are not alike," and that's not you. I have paintbrushes too. We are brothers. We are brothers, right? Man. That is so cool.
One of the other things I forgot to add is I have one of the Fine Turbo 1 It's like the company is named Fine, FEIN. It's a little bit more expensive than a shop vac, but it is super powerful, and it's also really easy to connect to, like 5-inch random orbital
Okay.
sander, things like that. And I use it to connect to my bandsaw, and my cyclone for my sandblaster. But it's super quiet. It even has a port on the side, so like if you're using your sander, you can plug it into there and then switch it to auto mode.
Oh
So when you
yeah.
turn it on, it'll auto, and then it'll
Mm-hmm.
continue to run for like 10 seconds after you turn it off too.
Yeah, I saw somebody do a review on that. It was a YouTube video that they talked about, like, does better air filtration or something like that, on your orbital sander, I don't know, improved sanding or something. But they were using that model because they plugged it in there, and it was
Yep.
some new one that he just got or something. So
Yep. Some of I believe it's Makita makes one that's actually Bluetooth to the tool, where you don't even have to like plug it into the tool. You just have power to it. But yeah, it's a little bit more expensive on Amazon. It's like $349, but it's an actual true HEPA filter, so it catches all the fine particulate and stuff with that dust stuff.
I liked what you said about quiet. Really the one I have my Craftsman, like 5 gallon that I've had for, like, I don't know, 20 years at least. I mean, I've had this thing. It was something my wife probably bought me when we first got married. And so, and it is loud. So, again, I have my hearing protection on a lot of times when I'm grinding anyway, so it doesn't bother me. But it would be nice having something that's a little quieter.
On Amazon, it says 66 dB is what it runs
Oh,
at.
okay.
So
yeah, it's not bad.
Quiet.
Yeah. Yeah. So
I
that's.
just
Go ahead.
Sorry, I was just gonna say I was gonna throw in a little shout out to Adam Miller of Baby Moon Blades. I just happened while we were talking about this, stumbled across a video he posted of him shutting down for the day, and he's got his grinders set up, and on the back side of his grinders are exhaust fans going straight outside, so it's sucking all the dust as he's grinding straight out the shop. And I saw that, I was like, hey, that's pretty neat.
Does it go right into his neighbor's yard?
Yeah, I don't know if that's the best for the environment, but yeah. So
no, that's again, that's where you learn this stuff, is that you see something that somebody came up with, and it's like, wow, that's a great idea, or whatever it is.
I'm sorry, I'm late to the party. I'm watching the video now.
I haven't seen the video, but he's
play by play. Oh my gosh, that is impressive. Yep. That man's got, he's in Mississippi, so he's got some airflow. He's got some gorgeous knives. He is a phenomenal maker. And yeah,
he makes some cool stuff.
Those big barn fans installed on the side of the shop, man, louvered and everything. That's some cool stuff.
Yeah. And down in the South, and especially around the Gulf, you don't have to worry about any of that metal and sparking, because it just comes out and there's enough water in the air. It just wets it down right there. So very rarely do you have to have water on any of your grinding.
Instead of coming back in the house and being black with dust and everything, you're red with rust, right?
That's right. That's right. Yeah. I'll tell you, those knives I had on the bench, like one night, I didn't oil them down. They're not heat treated or anything, but I just did a initial grind on those, and I went out the next day, and they're all, surface rust starting. So
get you a container and pour you a gallon of WD-40 in it, and just drop them in there and leave them in there in between what you do.
Yeah, great.
Is your shop wood or metal?
It's wood.
Really? Okay. Yeah, I know wood shops tend to do much better with like humidity and moisture.
I'm sure it does.
Collection than. Yeah, I had a wood shop when I was up in Tennessee, and cars would stay good, all that good stuff. I moved down here to Alabama, and I rented out an all metal building, and it just condensates inside of a metal building just so bad.
Yeah, I'm sure that's a lot worse.
Yeah, it's rough in a metal building.
Do you have an air
especially when
conditioner?
it's humid?
Do you have an air conditioner, Mark?
I do. I have a portable that's put to a window.
Oh, does it pull off some of the moisture?
Yeah, and so actually, now that you say that, one of the things I did do is it's also a dehumidifier, and so and it has a spot where it has a little bucket, but if I run that thing in like 30 minutes, it's full, and so but it had a spot where you can attach a hose. So I just I just ported a couple weeks ago. I bought a little fitting. I ported it out of my shed, and so now it's permanently hooked up, so I can keep that thing or maybe not running all the time, but I can run it for a little bit every day and kind of suck out the moisture. And then the wood, like Josh said, the wood's like a little, a separate little moisture absorber. If the wood's dry, it'll suck up, moisture. And
well, I'll tell you, and in Michigan, when I lived there, we all had basements in our houses. So we always ran dehumidifiers in the summer months to keep the basements from getting musty and, or wet feeling. And we ran ours 24/7. So, even if you just have like a dehumidifier running that's ported out like that, nothing wrong with it. It'll keep that area nice and dry for you. So
that's awesome.
Yes. And with that being said, talk about working in a hot area. Emily down near Orlando, Emily's Casting Crafts. You can find her at castingcrafts.com. She's got many styles and patterns to choose from. If she doesn't have what you are looking for in the way of acrylic scales online, give her a call. Contact her through the website or social media. And like many others, she'll come up with something that matches exactly what you're looking for. Also, Mark being down near the coast, and now we're getting into this officially spring, so he's going to have to get out his wetsuit because it's time to start paddling up to Maritime Knife Supply. Get great products and services in Canada, and now that that we're getting more control of the Panama Canal, you may have an additional route that you can actually run around and maybe pick up Dennis Tyrell's order and paddle it on through the canal and bring it over to him. So make him a little money to pay for your trips. So, but great products and services in Canada and internationally. Check out Maritime for great deals, service, as well as steel abrasives, handle materials, kilns, grinders, and other tools and equipment. Know that Maritime Knife Supply provides a knife maker with what they need to make beautiful blades. And if you haven't got a grinder, you need to check out Ameribraid grinders and accessories over to ameribraid.com. Not .con, it's com. So if you check out ameribraid.com, they got 3 grinder packages: the Mastery, the Foundations, and the Grit Grinding. To see which one's for you. If you give them a call, they'll talk you'll talk to Eric or Kevin, and they'll let you tell them what your needs are, and they'll make some recommendations. So check out ameribraid.com. So, Kyle, did you get your? Well, it's been since 2015. I was going to say, where did you get your heat treat oven through Maritime? I think he carries them also, as a matter of fact.
I think so. I got it from USA Knife Maker, Tracy Mickley up in Minnesota. Yeah, Luke also up there. Lots of good people. They do a lot for our Midwest Knife Makers Guild. We actually have a meeting coming up in May. It is May 3rd at Centaur Forge in Burlington, Wisconsin. So we're going to have three people talking there. Pat Biggins, he's going to be talking about lasers in the shop. Clarence DeYoung is going to be talking about handle shaping, and Nate Zimmerman is going to be doing an integral chef knife forging class. And all 3 of those guys, some pretty good people.
All going on at one meeting. That's pretty cool. A lot of cool stuff.
We do a spring meeting. We have a hammer in August, and then a fall meeting and a winter meeting.
Are you
Dennis
in the
Tyrell is going to be doing the hammer in this year.
Oh, cool. Are you in the Chicago suburbs?
Yep.
Okay, so you're not that far from the Wisconsin border. What are you, an hour or so from getting up in there?
Yeah. Yep. Milwaukee's like an hour and a half.
Good. I have a friend up in Chicago. That's good to know because I'm going to go see my friend who just retired last year here soon. So I'll be able to come over and shoplift from your shop. I'm sure you'll invite me over and I'll bring a bag. Anything I can get on a carry-on on a plane to head back home. Well, Mark, where else you taking us tonight?
I don't know. Like we talked about cleaning, so that was. Oh well, I forgot the most important piece. I have a broom.
Yeah,
Yes.
That nobody mentioned a broom. So, but yeah. So I really don't. I try not to sweep all the metal dust out into the grass, and so it doesn't like rush the grass. But I sweep all the leaves that blow in out there, and then the wood I sweep out there, and then the dust I sweep in a pile and suck it up with my little central vac.
Well, I have one other last one. Then, if you're going to add a broom, I'm going to add my last one in as well.
All right.
I have a dog.
What's
I
that?
have a dog. He gets all the potato chips or any other thing that I drop and hits the floor. That he grabs them real quick, and they're good to go.
Well, I saw your dog. You can probably just roll your dog on his back and push him around the floor, and that would clean everything.
That is a problem because when he does like to roll, and yes, so that's one reason to keep a very clean shop. It most definitely is. Hey, so let's talk a little bit about Batson's coming up. It's really going to be an exciting event this year, and just from the perspective, I'll be staying there. I'll be getting in probably around noon or 2:00 mark. So we'll talk as we get closer. So Josh, is the cost to get into Batson's, is that still $60?
I believe it's right around there. It will include, you can add your membership to the Alabama Forge Council with it. But it's a really great show. They've got demonstrators doing Damascus steel integrals with Adam DeRozier, slip joint folders with Keith Johnson. We've got forged axes with Terry Sheridan, frontier knives with Robert. I can't pronounce his last name. I've tried it before. It's
Ross Dutcher. Ross Dutcher.
Right. Yeah. That was close. And then we've got handles and guards with Bill Wiggins, tomahawks and bell dirks with Butch Sheely. There's an engraving class with Billy Bates, and the green coal classes with Alabama Knife Makers Guild. Go forging knives. I believe, Chip, are you helping out with that one too?
I am so blessed and honored to be asked to do that, and I won't be the most gifted one there. I can do what I need to do, but I'm looking forward. Gary Graham. I'm not sure if Josh Howard will be there on that, but I know there's some other folks that'll be doing it. So I always enjoy working with kids and big kids too, adults.
Yeah, it's a great time. We'll also have Joey Kiesler there. And there'll be the beginner classes, which is what Chip's helping out with. There's also a knife show and an auction that goes on as well. And then like when it's kind of neat, it kind of turns into a hammer in after hours. I think last year we had a couple guys get together and we just forged out a couple knives. And that was a lot of fun. So definitely, like, once the show's done, hang out. The forges will be available for people to use, make some, and have a good time with other knife makers and blacksmiths.
Yeah, and interestingly, thank you for correcting me because Batson's is our maker camp, so to speak. Adam and his wife are both ABS mastersmiths, so he's going to be down there doing that. You've got what's the other guy's name? Is it Terry Sheridan? Just a wonderful knife maker. A lot of his stuff is it just has a Western flair to it. It's I don't want to say cowboy knife, that doesn't design it. It's just he just has a beautiful old school flair to his knives. And we also don't want to forget, great auction there that they have. They've got sales. So guys, if you've got knives and you're a member of the group down there, bring your knives and get them on the tables. And some of the fellow campers and visitors there get some knife sales going as well. And I did get the price. The price is, if you pre-register, it's $75, and you do have to have a Forge Council membership to get that. but registration at the conference is $80 plus your membership. And the membership, I believe, is $40 at this time. So if you're
35.
Well, it says here at 3 days or a $40 plus membership. Oh, $40. That's if you're just going for 1 day. So it's $80 for the 3 days, and then $35 for your membership. And you also get a copy of the every other month you get a copy of Bitmus Bits, which is a magazine that they put out.
Bituminous Bits.
Say that again.
It's the bituminous bits.
Is that how you
the bituminous coal?
Is that how you say that? Really? Oh, that's so cool. Thank you for that.
Yep.
It's not like it's not like Wahiski, is it? Whiskey. Yeah. Everywhere I go, I teach people. I teach people the proper way to say that. And so you're like, hey, how do I get there? How do I get there? Well, if you're an Alabama fan, you already know how to get there. It's University of Alabama. But if not, it's strategically located between Birmingham, Alabama, about 25 miles west of there, and kind of almost in the middle between Birmingham and Tuscaloosa, where the University of Alabama plays, right off of I-20. And if you look up Batson's Blade Symposium, you will they'll have a map for you there. Also, there's camping there, first come, first serve, hotels in the area, and just lots of fun. It's a really, really, really good time. Good time. That's all I got to say about that. So, well, we're getting close into the show here, so I might as well tell you, guys need to visit the Rivers Experience. Let Eric Rivers and the Rivers Experience teach you the finer arts of knife making. You can find him on Facebook at the TRE Workshop or on YouTube at the Rivers Experience. Clark Taplin. Talk to Clark today. He may make it down to Batson's. I had a good conversation with him. Keep his helper's father in your prayers. He's going through some health struggles right now that's a little devastating to the family. And so he's had to, this is the testament to his products, clarkironforge.com. You want to get I got a 25 ton. He's got a 40 ton. I believe he's got a 12 or a 16 ton that he produces as well. Prices are excellent. Excellent machines. But if you want one of his presses or forges or anvils, you can visit him at Clark Iron Forge. But he had told me that he had to go out and tell people, hey, instead of his 2 week lead time on producing these with his helper in a situation right now, he told him it would probably take 3 to 6 weeks to get things done. And if they wanted to pull their deposits back, he'd be happy to do that. And everybody said, no way, we want a Clark Taplin forge or press. So that's a testament to how wonderful his products are. He hopes in the next couple of weeks he'll be back on track again. But trust me, he's an upstanding, wonderful Christian man, got great work ethic, and he produces one heck of a great product. I even told him, Clark, I'll come up there and work for a bologna sandwich on a Saturday if you need some help moving some steel around. I said, don't trust my welding, but I'll be happy to help you with anything on a Saturday for anything to catch up. And he says, well, we may do that. He says, there's a nice chicken place in town he might take me to. So if you want to volunteer to help Clark, get in touch with him. He may not need it, but I'm always willing to work with great makers and even work overtime for free because there's so much we can glean from each other. Mark, what you got going on this weekend?
Well, a couple things. And, one I'm kind of excited about. I didn't bring it up in the beginning of the podcast, but have one of my wife's friends is dating somebody who's in EMS. He's a paramedic, and or whatever his official title is. I don't know exactly what he does, but he's in the EMS field, and she was talking to they were. She met him, and Shannon was telling them that I make knives, and showed him some of my Instagram stuff. And he's like, I've been looking for a fixed blade knife that I can carry for this. And then he, told her a whole bunch of stuff. And he's like, can he make some of these? I know a bunch of folks would want them. I was like, oh, okay. And then so she told him to reach out, and so he at first he sent me he sent me this friend request and then messaged me, and he gave me this big list, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is kind of looking like I don't know if I'm going to want to do this because he was saying this is all the stuff he wants in a in a knife. But then I was like, well, let me just sit down and start drawing stuff, on paper and see what I can come up with. So, I actually think I came up with a decent design. So I think I'm gonna try it out. I'll make something for him as kind of like a little bit cheaper, a spec model, maybe for cost or just above that, and then I'll ask him to take that and test it out for a while, and if it works out, he can show his friends, and then I'll tell him the price for his friends. So I'm kind of excited about trying that out. So I'm working on that a little bit, and then really, I sent a picture of what was on the table there. I'm going to start cutting out that. I'm going to heat treat a bunch of those sheep's foot. I cut out a whole bunch of Farrier's brass sheep's foot knives, and so trying that design. So I did it like 4 or 5 of those, and then I got a piece of metal. I got a piece of I don't know, Pops 8670. I forget how thick it is for that buoy, that bigger buoy. I'm gonna try to make. I haven't made it like a bigger knife, and so I forget how many 7-8 inches blade length or something like that on there. Maybe 9. I can't remember. But a little bit larger buoy that I'm going to give a shot to. So I think I'll cut that out. So yeah, heat treating and design and starting a new buoy.
It's wonderful. That is wonderful.
Very nice.
I think that we can all collectively say, even the guys that haven't been on here, you have taken such a great leap forward in your knife making. And I think it all came down to confidence because your skill set's always been there and your skill set grows. But man, I'm really impressed. Your leather work, it's unbelievable that it's not machine stitched the way you do, but I'm really excited to see the stuff coming out, especially looking forward to you making a buoy. So good for you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, I look forward to spending the weekend with you. We had a quick trip last time you were up here, and you're a good friend. So let's make sure we cook something that makes everybody else say, "What y'all cooking over there?"
That's right.
I don't know if it be steaks or what.
I think Mark's meticulous nature for working with aircrafts and stuff lends itself well to doing a lot of the processes and stuff for knife making and leather work too.
Absolutely.
Wouldn't you have to say though that knife making is in your heart, in your soul?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a technical ability. Yeah.
Yeah, like I think that the thing that's in your heart is that it's when two things come together, right? So when somebody loves making stuff, right, but then it comes up with they like knives, right, and so I think for a lot of when we interviewed a bunch of makers on here, in the first couple seasons, it was hey, they've always loved knives. And then, like for instance, like, Don, like knives. And then, he used to turn and then, but, he's a craftsman. And then he turned that turning, hobby into something that he loved with knives. And so I think there's a lot of people like that. And I think that's, I've had, my parents will tell you a story that they were buying knives from, I'd seen knives at flea markets and because I wanted to buy knives. I love knives. And so I still have a bag of these old junky knives, but once I found out I could make one, Eric, I think, helped push me on that edge with his YouTube channel. Then I was like, stuck that, hey, it's creative and, and something you like. So, yeah.
Yeah. TRE workshop and AOC, Age of Craftsmanship. Is that it?
Art of Craftsmanship?
Art of Craftsmanship, excuse me. I don't know. That's why I can't be your best friends because that's a 60-year-old moment there. Art of Craftsmanship and TRE Workshop were that's what taught me to make a knife. Yeah, because
Dustin, right?
Yeah, Dustin. Yeah, I had it in my Dustin Diamond. Yeah, it was Dustin Diamond. I had it in my heart. A screech. Zach. Anyway, yeah, Dustin is a wonderful maker. As a matter of fact, he does all kinds of stuff, not just knives. I've been watching his bows that he make are just gorgeous. But he's a true artist all around. But yeah, I think it really is in your heart. Has to be when you go to Blade Show. You can see. You can see the people who bring things there to sell, and it's a business for them. You can see the people that make things that bring there to sell, and you can see it's just a lovely aura that's around the people when they talk about their products and how they make them, and the stories that they have to go along with them, and people like Emily as well, even what she does, making her scales and such, and the art that goes into that. Josh, you're back home again. Are you home? Are you home for a bit, or you got to go back? You have to go back out next week, or?
Yeah, I'm heading back to the Panhandle at the beginning of the week, and then I finish the week up in Huntsville.
Okay.
So it'll be another moving week for me. But this weekend I'm home. Gonna try to work on a few knives. I don't know. Maybe I guess I'll after this episode. I guess I kind of have to clean my shop a little bit. But yeah, I've got two knives that pretty much just need handles on them. I've got a quilling dagger that I've started a while back. I'd like to get that finished for Blade Show. I've got a bunch of Damascus that's waiting for me to finish it, and I'd like to start working on some of the nicer knives going to Blade Show. I've got a few more of the more affordable knives that I want to get done between now and then as well. But I'm definitely ready to do some of the fun stuff right now. The forging side of it is really where I enjoy. If I could make a knife that was perfectly finished off of an anvil and hammer, I would do that. But alas, all knives must be ground at some level. So
that's true.
Yeah, and so I've got a lot of grinding to do. So I may as well get my workbench cleared off, get all of the junk thrown away, get everything ready to destroy it all over again. But that'll be kind of my plan this weekend. And I've got 2 trees down on fences that I've got to cut up with the chainsaw. And I learned how to sharpen a chainsaw blade the other day. So fired it up and tested it. It's working good. So I'm ready to go. Hopefully not chop my shins off while trying to clean up this down tree that's sitting on top of some barbed wires.
Do you need any help?
Maybe after I cut my shin, somebody.
I've got an electric Harbor Freight 22-inch chainsaw. Just so you know, I have to bring my generator with me. But in all seriousness, if you need any help, I'll be more than happy to come down and give you a hand for a little bit.
You up for cleaning the shop?
I'll bring my blower. I'll bring my blower for sure.
Yeah, there you go.
Hey,
we'll tag team.
How's baby cow doing? Getting big?
Actually, we just literally today separated her from mama cow. So she is well past the weaning stage. We let her stay on a little bit longer with everything that's been going on in our personal lives.
Yeah.
And today we saw a golden opportunity. She had separated herself from her mama. So we went ahead and closed off a paddock. And now we've got her hanging out with our 2 other cows, so she's not lonely. We're gonna get mama cow dried off just because she needs a break, and with all of the trouble that we've had with her health and pregnancies, we're letting her take a nice long break and just be a pasture puppy, as they say.
And mama cow's doing well though.
She is. She's a little skinny. We're waiting on our grass to start growing, so she can get nice and plump again. But she's doing well. She's healthy. Everything's going good. So the biggest thing is we just need to keep her out of milk for a little while so that she can hopefully get over all of the different issues that she's had. And it's one of those things that we didn't know when we got into dairy cows is dairies only get rid of cows for reasons. And this poor cow's had a rough go of it. So we're just letting her just live her life for a little while, and hopefully all the things run their course, and she's able to just get back to it here in about a year. We're going to give her a year off and see how she does, make sure she's doing good. And, Lord willing, she'll be ready to get back at it, and we can continue to grow our herd and be back in milk because we love it. So
I heard that.
It's been a learning opportunity for sure.
Well, hey, you're great. And continued prayers and wonderful things. God is good, man. God is really good to us. Hey, Kyle Daly, do you work weekends or do you actually, because you're doing it all week?
Yeah, I do weekends and stuff too. But this weekend, I turned 40 last week.
Hey, all right.
Yeah, we're
congratulations.
We're doing a friend's birthday party, so a bunch of my friends and stuff are all getting together. So some friends from out of town are coming in, and gonna have a celebration. So my wife is got a big list of food and stuff that she's planning to cook, and making one of my favorite desserts, fruit pizza. It's a butter pecan cake mix with like cream cheese, sugar icing, and then all sorts of fruit, and then put a clear-ish jam over top, so all the fruit stays nice and good looking. It's
that sounds amazing.
I know. Yeah. You'll please do send us some pictures in Messenger because it does sound good. So that's wonderful.
Yep.
Well, I have got a weekend planned. I have weaned myself off of my calorie counting app a couple weeks ago, and I'm proud to say that I'm traveling and still losing a little weight, and I've got about 15 or so pounds still I want to lose, but I've been losing it gradually all along. I'm 213 right now, or 212, excuse me. And so now I have just an app that's just for logging your weight. So I think the key to me managing my weight is I already know what I can eat day in and day out, how much. I don't need to count calories. You just have to weigh myself every day. So I'm enjoying this. I'm enjoying wearing cowboy cut jeans instead of the baggier jeans I used to wear, and it's just I can sit and climb up and do things a lot better. So I'm tickled with that. So I have done that. So it's been a good week from that standpoint. I've posted, sent you guys a picture of a knife tonight that I will be making the handle for tomorrow, and then I've got an order of 6 knives I also have to start tomorrow. So I'll start patterning those out, I guess. So I will start those. And then I've got another order of 6 after that. Those are all to different people. This next order is for a single person for family members. But God's been very good to me. I can't complain by any means. So I'll do that. And sometime this weekend, tomorrow will be the day I'm going to set up the tent and season it in a 400-degree oven for 2 hours, cool it down, and do it again, just like
as you do.
And get that ready for Blade Show. It's kind of interesting. I was like, I'm going to be selling. If you guys are interested in any 60 or 100 liter backpacks, let me know. I've got Osprey packs. They're top of the line, in great shape. But my days of going, walking for 20 miles and saying, hey, I walked 20 miles today, it's pretty much going to be I set up camp. I went out and walked 5 or 6 miles round trip and came back and cooked a great dinner at camp. That's my kind of camping these days. So I'm going to be seasoning that tent. So I've been in a rental car and corporate cars and pool cars for the last 5 weeks. So I'm actually, the great thing is I'm not putting any mileage on my Jeep, but I'm looking forward to literally cleaning the dust. It needs to be dusted. Well, our next
episode it need to be dusted or deep Holland? Do you have Holland up there?
Yeah, we do, but it's garage kept, so it will, and it's black, so it will. It just needs to be dusted. It's been sitting in the garage collecting a little dust, so I'll be taking. Yeah, Kyle.
Speaking of your dust, the tornadoes and stuff that you guys had down there, apparently all that dust made it all the way up to the Chicagoland area.
All the way over from New Mexico, dang. Texas, came across here and went up your way, I saw. Yeah.
So we got some rain, and then I was like, why is my truck like this reddish orange? And they talked about it on the news that it was a bunch of the dust from all those high winds and stuff down there.
You want a little bit of Texas and New Mexico. That's that, and you can, if you're upset about it, you can call Jason Fry up to come clean his dust and take it back home, or you can just, or you can use some of the cleaning methods that we talked about tonight and put it in an envelope, mail his yard back to him again. So
yeah, well, it blows my mind that it like made it that far, because we're 1,000 miles or more from there.
You know the Sahara blows into the United States every year, don't you?
Yeah, I get that.
Okay. So, but I was in Texas during that windy.
Still amazing.
Oh, most definitely. I was in Texas during the high wind events and everything out there, and it was so red. 150 yards out, it looked like the surface of Mars. Just looking at things, it was kind of eerie, kind of like when we had the fires up here, Josh, and everything kind of had a smoky hue to it in the sky. But in this case, it was like looking at a Martian photograph that's been beamed back, just kind of this red, dusty horizon. So, and then Jason sent us pictures from his house, and you couldn't practically see the house across the street. So it was something else. Well, guys, I will say this to you right now. Questions, comments, product reviews, show and guest ideas. We want you to subscribe and email us at thenivestemplars@yahoo.com. You can DM us on Facebook in the Knives Templars podcast group, and visit us at knivestemplars.com to stay up to date. Our episode is sponsored by Two Bastards, TR Maker, Clark Iron Forge, The Rivers Experience, Casting Crafts, Ameribraid, Pops Knife Supplies, Maritime Knife Supply, and Phoenix Abrasive for your Templars 10 or KP 10 for 10% off your order. Also, go out and listen to the Knife Perspective podcast. That's Kyle's podcast, and he and Dan do a wonderful job with that podcast. Matter of fact, I'm going to go out and listen to 108 so I can learn a little bit more about heat treat and stainless steel from the Even Heat guy here in the future. Join me with that. We can talk about it next episode. You can hear us on.
The one I'm going to be posting tomorrow is with Laren Thomas, talking about some of the stuff going on with the Crucible factory and lots of other steels and stuff that he's designing and coming up with. So
excellent.
Cool.
You guys, you can hear us on iHeartRadio, Spotify. Let me start over. iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Music, Anchor, Amazon, YouTube Video, and CastBox. Again, you can see us at Facebook or thenivestemplars.com. With that being said, guys, let's see if Kyle knows. Do you know what it's time to say?
Oinky, oinky, oinky.
There you go.
And good night, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Good night, everybody.
See you.
Night, y'all.
Bye. Well, it's supposed to be playing The Eagle Has Landed, but it's not. It's not,
I tell you. Fix that in post.
Sometimes I just don't. I just do whatever. But, I think I've got it now. 3, 2, 1.
Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.
Brought to you by PORKHouse Productions. Oinky, oinky, oinky.
And that's a wrap. I will tell you what it is that Riverside has changed a little bit, and they've been purchased, and it continues to evolve. So it's kind of like an iPhone. What you're doing today, 3 weeks from now when they do an upgrade, you got to figure it out again. And they have this little, play button. So instead of just clicking on the icon for the closing of the show, I'm sitting there clicking and nothing's happening, and it's lit up. And I look down, it's like, the play button has to be pushed. So I have to click on the button and then go down and hit play. So anyway, we'll just leave it in there so everybody will know. Kyle, let me ask you, what is your what are you recording on? Are you doing it local recording, or how do you do yours?
We use a program called Zencaster. It's a web-based one, and it gives me tracks for each person and makes it a little easier to edit that way.
Yours sounds really good. And Riverside has come a long way. And if you look them up, Zencaster, Riverside, and several of them, there's 3, 4, 5 of them that are out there. I know not many people are doing Microsoft Teams and things like that where they can record it, but you end up with all of the web traffic static and stuff when you do that, unfortunately. Do you know how Knife Talk's doing theirs? They do a really nice job, and they're doing theirs in 2 continents.
Yeah, I'm not sure what program they use. I know they've bounced around between 3 or 4 of them over the years.
Yeah, I know that they, Craig Lockwood, the guy that owns that podcast, he's talked about sometimes, hey guys, be sure and send me your upload. So, ours, I can go out and grab them from this platform, but they have to send their uploads to them. That may have been a way they were doing it in the past, but they've always had really nice sound on that podcast. Did good.
Yeah.
Do good. They're neat guys. They're neat guys. I would say,
yeah, they're sticklers about the sound for sure, and they definitely do have some good audio there.
You should be on their podcast because you're a stickler for sound also.
I tried to.
You got that right.
Please stay here. And I love the fact that you're a stickler for sound. I'm going to listen intently and see how many times I interrupt. And I'll reward y'all with something at Blade Show with based on the number of times I interrupt between now and Blade Show. Maybe it'll be maybe part of our new shirt. I got a Pop shirt yesterday. It's pretty cool. And gosh, what does it say now? It says Pop's Knife Supply on it. It's the one I got is kind of a military green, but it's got a dotted line across the belly, and it says don't cut here or cut across the dotted line or something like that. I think it's something about not cutting here, but it was a cute shirt. I apologize. I've forgotten what it says. I had to run downstairs and see. My recording studio is in my 29-year-old son's old bedroom. So, but it comes with its own bathroom, and it still looks like a bedroom. But then I don't have any sense to make it look like a podcasting studio. So no sense there. So describe your locations, Mark. What are we looking at in your podcasting studio? You have.
Yeah, this is my bedroom. So it is just the back wall corner of the bedroom, with all the doors closed off, so I can, keep the echo down.
And Kyle, go ahead.
To finish on that though, one thing I wanted to try, but I didn't want to try it live on a podcast night, is that I added a repeater, a Wi-Fi repeater in my shop. And so at some point, I'd like to see if it's strong enough to carry the show, because it'd be great for me to just do it out there. So, but
yeah.
Up until now, it was just too far from my Wi-Fi, and then I have that like metal foil insulation in there, that even blocks it off more. So without a repeater, I get nothing in there.
Yeah, my shop is insulated, and for some reason it kicks down Wi-Fi signals out there as well. But so I don't ever record in there, but I've got this extra room up here. Kyle, you're in your shop, am I correct? Or are you in your basement?
No, I'm in my basement. It's essentially a crawl space, but part of it is full height, and that's actually all my shipping stuff back here, and my glue up area, and got my Rockwell hardness tester over here to the side, printer and stuff.
So you're split up between your shop upstairs, and then you've got this area downstairs that you work in.
Yeah, this is the cleaner room, glue ups and shipping, and my computer work and stuff is down here, and then out in the garage is the dirty shop.
Yeah, well, it's insulated. Of course, we see the insulation above your head, but the insulation and everything, you get a great sound out of it. It does a really good job.
Thank you.
It does. And Josh, you were in the upstairs family room of your cabin.
I'm in my loft area. This is where I do all of my work. All my design work is right here, and then I do my leather work up here because it's outside of the shop, avoiding all of the dirtiness.
From what we've heard tonight, yes.
Yeah. So I do not. The only thing I'll take my leather sheaths into the shop for is touching up the edges on the grinder real quick, and that's about all I do.
You don't do any leather work around the cows, do you? That would be kind of like,
yeah. I do it. Well, it makes them respect me more because I don't want to be a wallet. But yeah, so I do all of my normal work for my boring job.
Gotcha. Well, guys, we are approaching that time. We're about 2 hours and 14 minutes in. I will say this. It was nice to have a topic, Mark. You are our new director of happiness and topics. And it's a role that you can't get out of until you find somebody else to do it. You did a wonderful job. And Kyle, you are such a personable person. Dale Carnegie, when I used to teach it, you never, give somebody an insincere compliment because they'll read through it. So I hope you understand that everything I say, you're just a phenomenal being, like the other guys on here. So we are pleased to have you on here. We're pleased to continue to promote your podcast and have you as a member of ours, because ultimately it comes down, we're just one big community. And Josh, man, prayers are answered, and I'm glad to see you doing so well, and glad to see you making knives, and the cows are doing well, and spring is upon us, and everything's coming back to life in Alabama, so that's wonderful. Well, all that being said, to our listeners, God bless. We thank you. Without you, we're just a bunch of guys talking on this. Well, Friday night here, it's typically going to be Thursday nights from now on. But even if it was just the 4 or 6 or 8 of us talking, we'd still have just as much doing it. So thanks for joining us in the conversation with that, guys. Good night.
Back in our small town where the sun sinks low,
be blessed.
I remember Friday nights, the lights all aglow. You in your sundress, golden hair in the breeze, your sweet southern smile bringing me to my knees. Oh, those golden moments under the sky so wide, dancing in the moonlight with you by my side. Every memory lingers like the scent of sweet pine. In a world full of chaos, you'll always be mine. Sitting on the porch as the crickets start to sing, the fading light wraps us in that sweet golden ring. We stole a few glances as the stars came out bright, just 2 small town lovers lost in the night. Oh, those golden moments under the sky so wide, dancing in the moonlight with you by my side. Every memory lingers like the scent of sweet pine. In a world full of chaos, you'll always be mine. Sneak off to the fields where the wildflowers grow, spinning round and round, letting the good times flow. Your laughter like music, so pure and so free. In that sweet southern summer, it was just you and me. Oh, those golden moments under the sky so wide, dancing in the moonlight with you by my side. Every memory lingers like the scent of sweet pine. In a world full of chaos, you'll always be mine. Now the years have drifted, but the feeling stays true, and every sunset's glow, I'll still find you with your golden hair blowing and that sweet southern smile. My heart still remembers every old country mile. Oh, those golden moments under the sky so wide, dancing in the moonlight with you by my side. Every memory lingers like the scent of sweet pine. In a world world full of chaos, you'll always be mine. So let's sit on the porch as the night starts to fall, with the stars as our blanket and love through it all. In this small town forever where our hearts intertwine, I'll hold on to those golden moments, 'cause baby, you're mine.